Good evening, hockey fans from around the Nicola Valley. Welcome to the show where you can stay up to date on everything Merritt Centennials, talking sense. I'm your host and play-by-play broadcaster for the Merritt Centennials, Jared Thomas. We're heading into week 7 of the season, and for just the second week of the year, the Sens managed to get points in all their games in a single week. They may not have won them all, losing 2 of 3 in overtime, but they got 4 of a possible 6 points, which is a pretty good ratio. They faced off Wednesday night on a long road trip to Prince George, came back home to host the undefeated Penticton Vs on Friday, and then hit the road again for another long road trip to Wenatchee on Saturday. We'll start off with a look at the game in Prince George. It was a game where Sam Miller was at his best, but at the beginning of the game, he'd had a play where he'd like to have it back.
Borjas across from Miller, who was calling for the pass. Miller loses it at center ice. Now Ethan DeYoung in on Mateus Dalmonte. DeYoung with a nice move to the backhand, flips it up and over Berger. And we have the first goal of the game.
The Sens traded a couple penalties with the Prince George Spruce Kings, but it wasn't until late in the period, after a penalty to James Orr, that a certain someone found himself open at the point and unleashed a blast.
Stop now to the left point. Miller to the crowd. It goes in. Sam Miller with possibly his first in the BCHL. It deflected in. Who got the goal? Millsy first through the line. And the Centennials have tied it.
Sam Miller with his first in the BCHL ties things up at ones, and that's how the first period would end. In the second period, the Sens came out flying. They had all sorts of chances, including Zach Court, who was awarded a penalty shot.
He'll start off going to his right, coming back to his left. Court in on the hash mark, stick handling, and a huge blocker stop by Evan DeBrouwer.
Court kind of ran out of room as he was coming from the right to his left, stick handling across the hash marks, made a move to the backhand, flipped it up, and DeBrouwer was there with a blocker save. But Court didn't have to worry because, once again, Sam Miller was in on the offense.
Sam Miller and Tyrell Buckley at the point. Miller steps into one, Borjas on the rebound, and get it to go! Alex the Bulldog Borjas on the rebound. Sam Miller with a blast from the point. He's got 2 points in this game.
That would be the only goal of the second period, scored early, but it ends up going all the way through the 20 minutes. There's a couple power play opportunities for both sides. Neither team could convert. And we went to the third with a 2-1 Centennial lead. Centennials were defending their lead, had chances on DeBrouwer. He was making all sorts of stops, but midway through the third period, the Prince George Spruce Kings answered.
Cozy driving on the right side, centering, gets it across to Welsh, and they'll score.
With the game tied up now, the Sens were pressing for that extra goal. Couldn't quite find it. Evan DeBrouwer denied Ryland Van Unen, Nick Wicks late in the game on golden opportunities, and this one ended up going to the extra frame. Unfortunately for the Centennials, it only went about 17 seconds into the extra frame as Leighton Ahak was left open at the point, found a way to go roof job on Jake Berger.
Top salami on Jake Berger, and the Spruce Kings get the win on home ice.
Leighton Ahak, the standout rookie defenseman for the Prince George Spruce Kings, his third game-winning goal of the year, gets the win for the Spruce Kings 3-2 over the Merritt Centennials. When we return, we'll recap the game between the big bad Penticton Vs when they came to town on Friday night to take on the Sens. Here on Talking Sense with me, Jared Thomas. Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome back to the show where you can stay up to date on everything Merritt Centennials Talking Sense. I'm your host and play-by-play broadcaster for the Merritt Centennials, Jared Thomas. So in segment 1, we recapped the 3-2 overtime loss to the Prince George Spruce Kings last Wednesday. Right now, we're going to recap the game against the Penticton Vs as they came to the Nicola Valley Memorial Arena on Friday night. It was Save on Foods night in the rink, and the Sens skated to a very even first period. No teams managed to score. The Centennials had their chances, definitely limited the Penticton V's in theirs. In the second period, it was much the same, both teams feeling each other out until about midway through the frame. Colton Gerlib came through with a nifty play at the line and got the Cents on the board.
Net. Matthew Gosselin trying to retrieve the puck. Colton Gerlib will hold at the right point, stepping into it, he'll score! Colton Gerlib holds at the line with a nifty glove down, bats it to his own stick, tees it up, and the Cents lead 1-0, baby! Courtesy Colton Gerlib.
Colton Gerlib getting his second of the season, this one unassisted as he just snatched it out of midair at the line, teed it up for himself and blasted it past Nolan Hildebrand for the first goal of the game, and that stood through the second period, even into a large portion of the third, until Ryland Van Unen got sprung on a 2-on-1.
As Ryland Van Unen, a chance with Jackson Monroe, possible 2-on-1, Van Unen with Monroe, shot up high, he'll score! Ryland Van Unen, he had the option to pass, he went with the shot, and he chose right there!
The Cents had the 2-goal lead after the Ryland Van Unen marker roofing it over Nolan Hildebrand. But some say the 2-goal lead, the worst lead in hockey. It only takes one goal to turn the game on its head. The Cents went into a defensive shell, trying to just protect the puck in their own end. Didn't bother clearing it. They were trying to just eat the puck in the boards, trying to get the whistle on the scrum, pinning the puck to the boards. It worked for a while until Johnny Tyconic teed it up from the line, and it took a unfortunate deflection.
Kill time, but oh, that one goes off Henry Cleghorn and in. Johnny Tyconic from the line, off Cleghorn and past Berger.
The V's were within one, courtesy Johnny Tyconic. In one of the strangest occurrences, they ended up scoring a goal while interfering with Jacob Berger. The goal was waved off, but at the end of it all, Jake Berger ends up with a penalty. How did it happen? I asked Joe Martin after the game. Here was the explanation he got from the refs.
The explanation was they cut across the net, they tangled up with Jake and caught feet, so Jake got spun around as they were shooting and it went in. As they were discussing it, apparently Jake squirted a little water on somebody still at his net, and they thought that was enough for an unsportsmanlike.
On the ensuing power play, the V's got another one.
Streaking in is Tyconic, he'll shoot and score! Tyconic from the middle of the ice ties it up at 2.
In overtime, the Cents lasted a little longer than they did on Wednesday night against Prince George, but it was still the V's who found the extra frame tally.
For O'Connell, back for Cruikshank, he's got a bit of an open lane, top corner! Once again on Jacob Berger, and the V's come back to win it and remain undefeated on the season.
The Cents this close to being Giant Slayers. However, they ended up losing 3-2 in overtime, a mirror of the score in Prince George, suffering the same fate, an overtime loss. When we return, we'll talk about the game on Saturday night against the Wenatchee Wild. All to come on Talking Cents with me, Jared Thomas. Hello and welcome back to Talking Cents, the show where you can stay up to date with everything Merritt Centennials. We've already recapped the games in Prince George and the game here against Penticton. Now we'll look at the game in Wenatchee, Washington, where the Cents went on the road to take on the high-powered offense of Wenatchee. Wenatchee deadly on the power play, second best in the league. The Centennials second worst. However, if you were just watching the first period of this game, you wouldn't know it.
Alex Borja in for Stocky. Nice area pass. Shoot, scores! Ashton Stocky on the power play. Getting it done. And the Cents, They bust the slump on the power play. Can they bust the slump they're on right now? Ashton Stockey giving them the lead.
The Saints converting on their first power play of the game, busting their slump as they haven't scored since they last won a game. Hopefully that's a trend that continues as they took a couple penalties, were able to get away with them in the first. However, when things returned to 5-on-5, Sam Morton found an opening and beat Berger.
For Miller, he fans on the center uncleared. Tafazio a shot, rebounds. Another shot. Berger the stop, and on the third chance, Sam Morton will put it in to the gaping net. It's 1-1 with 3:55 to go in the first.
The Wild able to tie things up at ones, but moments later they took a penalty, and the Saints went back to the power play.
Possession down low for Court. Back to Wicks. Shot and a rip on the mesh. Nick Wicks from the high slot gets it past the blocker of ISO, and within seconds they convert on the power play. Nick Wicks getting it done.
The Saints took the 2-1 lead into the second period where they had trouble in the penalty box. Joey Berkopek, a double minor at about the 5-minute mark into the second period, and then Henry Cleghorn with another penalty. So not only did they have to kill off a full 4-minute double minor, they had to kill off a 5-on-3 for the full 2 minutes. They managed to get it done. Later on in the period, Jake Berger had to stop a penalty shot. Josh Arnold hauled down by Berkopek after he got behind the Centennials' defense. Berger standing tall on the penalty shot. It all led to a goal against the grain by the captain.
An opportunity for McCullen Assel. Out of the corner, Wicks back to the line for Buckley. Tees it up and he'll score! Tyrell Buckley! From the line, teed up by Nick Wicks. It had eyes, and it got...
The Centennials managed to hang on to the 3-1 lead heading into the third period. However, early in the third, just a minute 05 in, the leading scorer of the Wild, Jasper Weatherby, got his 10th of the season.
Jasper Weatherby on the board.
The Saints, leading 3-2, had to hang on for the majority of the third period. Could they do it? They were helped out by their backstopper.
On the right side wall. Centering, Berger, huge stop, it's loose in front, another stop by Berger, and he'll hang on.
And the Saints would hang on for the 3-2 win, their first in 3 games as they were on a 3-game skid, broke that slump. They were on a 3-game slump on the power play, broke that slump. They hadn't won a road game on the year, and they broke that slump. The Saints finishing the week off right, getting 4 of 6 points on the week on the whole, and they'll look ahead to face the Chilliwack Chiefs in town Wednesday. Then they go on the road to take on the Penticton V's in yet another grudge match. And then on Saturday, they go to Salmon Arm to the Shaw Center to take on the Silverbacks, the same team that started their 3-game losing streak with a 7-4 defeat. They'll be looking for revenge there. That's all to come this week. But until next week, for Talking Sense, I'm Jared Thomas. See ya. Love ya. Bye.